Welcome back to Stoic Wisdom TV. Hey there, let's dive into something real. Something that might just shift how you see the connections in your life. Relationships were romantic, familial, or platonic are the heartbeat of our existence. But they can also be a battlefield of emotions, expectations, and unspoken truths. What if I told you that the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, particularly through the eyes of Marcus Aurelius, could cut through the fog of confusion and mixed signals to reveal whether loyalty truly exists in your bond with someone? I'm not talking about surface-level stuff here, not just the obvious betrayals like cheating, but the deeper, quieter signs of emotional, mental, and spiritual disloyalty that often go unnoticed until the damage is done. We're gonna unpack 11 hidden signs that some analysts say a romantic partner might not be as loyal as you think, and we'll do it with the raw, unflinching clarity of Stoic philosophy. This ain't about drama or blame. It's about truth, about seeing things as they are, not as we wish them to be. So, grab a seat, maybe a coffee, and let's get into this journey of self-discovery and relational insight. By the end, you'll have a clearer picture of where you stand and the strength to act with dignity, no matter what you find. Before we jump into the signs, let's set the stage with a Stoic mindset. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced wars, betrayals, and personal loss yet found peace through philosophy, once wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." This ain't just a fancy quote's a way of life. It's about stripping away illusions and facing reality head-on, even when it stings. Now, imagine applying that same truth-seeking lens to your relationships. Most of us dive into love or friendship with hope, not clarity. We ignore red flags because we crave comfort, connection, or the idea of what could be. But hope ain't a strategy, my friend. Marcus would likely say, don't argue about what loyalty should look like, just recognize it, or the lack of it, and act accordingly. So let's not guess or wish. Let's learn the signs, face the facts, and build our inner strength to handle whatever comes next. This is about protecting your peace, not chasing drama. And we'll do it through the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Now, picture this. You're with someone you thought was your rock. Early on, everything felt right. Those late-night talks, the way your heart raced when they smiled, the quiet moments where the world seemed to fade away. You let your guard down, shared your fears, your dreams, maybe even the scars from your past that still ache sometimes. You felt safe, like you'd finally found someone who got you. But over time, something shifted. There's a quiet voice in your gut whispering that they're not all in, that something's off. Even if you can't quite name it. You're not crazy, and you're not paranoid, you're perceptive. That gut feeling is your mind picking up on subtle cues. And Stoicism teaches us to trust our reason, to observe without being blinded by emotion. So let's break down these 11 hidden signs of disloyalty. Not just physical, but emotional, mental, and spiritual, using the Stoic framework to guide us toward clarity and self-respect. Let's start with a sign that's often overlooked because it's so subtle: withholding vulnerability. Think back to those early days when you opened up to her. Maybe you were lying in bed, her head on your chest, and you spilled your soul, talked about a childhood wound, a fear that keeps you up at night, a failure that still haunts you. You handed her the keys to your inner world, trusting she'd hold them with care. And maybe she listened, nodded, even said the right things. But did she ever give you the same in return? Did she ever peel back her own layers, show you her unpolished, imperfect side? Or let you see her cry without rushing to hide it? Or did you keep diving deeper while she stayed on the surface, offering only safe, shallow stories about work or friends? Loyalty, in the Stoic sense, ain't just about sticking around. It starts in the soul, long before it shows in actions. True connection, true commitment, comes from mutual vulnerability. When someone withholds that, they're not just protecting themselves from pain, they're guarding against real intimacy. And without intimacy, there's no real loyalty. Marcus Aurelius might say, a man should be upright, not kept upright, in love. This means a relationship shouldn't be held together by just one person's effort, one person's honesty, one person's heart laid bare. It's gotta be mutual. If you're the only one diving into the deep end while she floats safely above, that's a sign. It's not just a personality quirk, it's a defense mechanism, a wall that says, I'm not all in. And if she's not all in, why are you giving her everything? Ask yourself, how often have you shared something raw, something real, only to get a half-hearted "aw, babe" before she changes the subject or scrolls back to her phone? How many nights have you felt lonely even with her right beside you? That ache ain't just disconnection, it's a warning. A woman who's loyal wants to be seen, wants to hand you her heart as much as she wants to hold yours. If she's not doing that, Stoicism would urge you to see it for what it is, a lack of emotional investment. Don't ignore it. Face it with the clarity Marcus sought in all things. Next up, let's talk about when her words don't line up with her patterns. You've heard her say, I love you, or I'm all in, but deep down, something doesn't sit right. The math just ain't adding up. She says she misses you, but she rarely makes time to see you. She claims you're the only one, but her phone's always face down when you're around. She tells you to talk to her about anything, but when you do, she tunes out or flips it back on you. Think back, when did her actions stop matching her promises? In the beginning, everything felt real. She'd text good morning before you even woke up, ask about your day without prompting, show up for you in ways that made you feel seen. But somewhere along the line, the words stayed and the actions faded. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, but in relationships, the soul is dyed by the truth of patterns, not promises. Anyone can say the right things, words are easy, but patterns, they don't lie. A dangerously smart person, guided by Stoic clarity, doesn't cling to sweet nothings. They observe consistent behavior. How many times has she said, I'm just tired, or I've been busy, when you ask why she's distant? How many nights have you waited for a call, only to fall asleep with your phone still in hand? That's not about being clingy, it's about needing clarity and feeling like you're getting crumbs instead of commitment. Stoicism teaches us to face reality, not fantasy. If her actions don't support her words, stop holding onto the illusion. A loyal woman doesn't just tell you she's there for you, you feel it in her consistency. You don't have to guess or wonder. Her patterns become your peace. If you're always trying to reconcile what she says with how she acts, that's not love, that's confusion dressed up in pretty sentences. You deserve better, and Stoic wisdom would push you to seek truth over comfort. Remember when you were her priority? Not just someone she spent time with, but someone she couldn't wait to see. Someone she'd move mountains for. She'd rearrange her schedule, cancel other plans, stay up late just to talk. Your phone would light up with her name, and you'd feel that flutter in your chest. She'd text first, ask if you'd eaten, check if you got home safe, get excited to make plans instead of finding reasons to dodge them. Back then, you weren't just part of her life, you were her life. You were plan A, her first thought in the morning, her last before sleep. But somewhere along the way, you stopped being the priority and started being the backup. Now, she hits you up when she's bored. Responses come late, if at all. She makes vague promises to see you sometime next week, but somehow always finds time for others. You're no longer the one she drops everything for, you're the one she fits in when it's convenient. And the worst part? She still says you matter, still gives just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to feel secure. Marcus Aurelius said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. In love, we often ignore what's right and cling to what's familiar, not what's true. So, when did her attention start feeling like a favor instead of a joy? When did your presence become an option, not a necessity? This shift ain't about being needy, it's about respect. It's about being with someone who chooses you, not just tolerates you. When a woman is loyal, she shows it with her time, her energy, her effort. She prioritizes you not because she has to, but because she wants to. If you're constantly being rescheduled, postponed, or placed behind everything else in her life, that's not love, that's emotional breadcrumbing. You ain't plan B material. You never were. Stoicism would remind you to see your worth and not settle for being someone's second choice when you were meant to be their only choice. Ever feel like your relationship only exists behind closed doors? When it's just the two of you, everything's fin-lawing, holding hands, whispering late into the night. But step outside, and it's like you vanish. No trace of you on her social media, no mention to her friends or family, no public acknowledgement of your bond. You're not a private relationship, you're a hidden one, and those are two very different things. Think back to the start. It was exciting, new. You'd talk for hours, get lost in each other's energy, make plans, dream out loud. You felt special, seen. But now, months or years later, you're still invisible. She says it's because she's private, that she doesn't like posting her personal life online, that she's not ready for everyone to know. But deep down, you feel the difference between privacy and secrecy. Marcus Aurelius warned, never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect. So why do you keep breaking your own heart by staying hidden in someone else's shadows? When was the last time she proudly called you hers in front of someone else? Introduced you as her partner, not just a friend or someone she knows? If you're struggling to recall, that says it all. When a woman is loyal, she wants the world to know, not for attention or approval, but because she's proud of you. She wants to say, this is the man I choose. But when she keeps you a secret, that's not shyness, that's distance. It's someone keeping one foot in your world and the other in a single life. You weren't made to be a guilty pleasure. You were made to be a proud decision. Stoic clarity would push you to ask, is she loyal to you, or to the comfort of keeping her options open? Have you ever felt like her emotions only show up when it's convenient for her? One moment, she's cold, distant, unreadable. Then, suddenly, when she needs comfort, attention, or validation, she becomes soft again, opening up just enough to pull you back in before disappearing once more. If that sounds familiar, you're caught in a subtle, painful sign of emotional disloyalty. Think back to a time you were struggling. Maybe you lost someone, work was crushing you, or you were just emotionally drained. You reached out, hoping she'd hold some of your weight, but her response was lukewarm at best. I'm busy, she said, or I don't know what to say, before changing the subject. You felt like a burden just for feeling something. Yet, when she had a bad day, a fight with a friend, or just felt lonely, suddenly you were everything she needed: your time, your words, your energy. And you gave it, because you care, because that's who you are. But here's the rub. Her emotional availability only opens when it serves her. That's not love, that's emotional self-service. Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you rise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. But real love isn't a privilege for just one person while the other carries all the emotional labor. In a loyal relationship, emotional availability flows both ways. It's mutual, consistent, safe. When someone only shows up emotionally when they need something and vanishes when you do, that's not loyalty, that's manipulation disguised as affection. How many times have you poured from your cup until you were empty, and she never refilled it? How often have you been strong for her, but had to be strong for yourself too? Stoicism would call you to see this for what it is, a transactional dynamic, not a partnership. You deserve more than to be her emotional safety net. When was the last time she talked about the future, and you were actually in it? She mentions her dream job, where she wants to move, her solo trips, her personal goals. But where do you fit in that vision? Do you feel like a partner or a passenger she forgot to invite on the journey? Rewind to the beginning. You used to dream out loud together, living together, traveling the world, maybe starting a family. You could feel her excitement. You saw yourself in her future, not as a question mark, but as a certainty. It felt good, right? But somewhere along the line, those talks changed or stopped. Now, when she speaks of the next steps in her life, it's I, not we. Her goals are hers. Her timelines are hers. You've become a silent character in her story. When you bring up the future, she gets uncomfortable. Let's not plan too far ahead, or let's just enjoy the moment, she says. Sounds sweet until it's a pattern. Love ain't just passion in the moment, it's commitment to the moments yet to come. Marcus Aurelius advised, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Let's flip that. Waste no more time wondering what real love looks like. Watch what it includes. Real love includes you in the plan, not by accident, not as a maybe, but as a must. Have you started shrinking your dreams to fit into hers? Waiting to make plans, hoping she'll eventually include you? That's not love, that's limbo, and limbo is the slowest way to lose yourself. A loyal woman doesn't talk about someday without seeing you beside her. If you're missing from her future picture, Stoic wisdom would call that emotional distancing, not independence. You deserve someone who builds with you, not just dreams without you. Have you heard her say I love you and still felt completely alone? Remember the first time she said those words, maybe lying next to you, her head on your chest, or holding hands in the car with music playing low. Your heart nearly exploded, didn't it? It felt real, pure, like everything made sense. But somewhere along the way, the energy behind those words shifted. She still says it when you're upset, when she's in the mood, or maybe when she feels guilty after a fight, but it's different. It's like those words became a shield, something to say so you don't question what's missing. She says she loves you, but she's suddenly too busy for you. She says she loves you, but she forgets what matters to you. She says she loves you, but doesn't notice when you're hurting, or worse, doesn't care. You hold on because you remember the version of her who showed love, not just spoke it. The girl who texted good morning, who noticed the smallest shifts in your mood, who fought to make you feel seen. Now, you're clinging to words while her actions pull away day by day. Marcus Aurelius noted, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What color is your love now? If her love only lives in her words, never in her choices, never in her consistency, never in how she shows up, then what you have is an illusion dressed as affection. When was the last time you felt loved by her without hearing it, not because she said it, but because she showed it through patience, loyalty, attentiveness, presence? If you're searching your memory, Stoic clarity would tell you that words are cheap when not backed by action. A loyal woman doesn't have to convince you she loves you. You feel it every day. If her lips say I love you, but her actions whisper I don't, maybe she loves the idea of you more than the reality. Ever feel like everything wrong in the relationship is your fault, even when you know it isn't? Recall a small fight, maybe you just wanted to express how something made you feel, but the moment you spoke, it flipped on you. Suddenly, you were the problem, too sensitive, overreacting, starting drama. What started as your pain turned into your guilt. It's subtle, but it chips away at you. If it keeps happening, you start asking, am I really the bad guy? Is love supposed to feel like walking on eggshells? Have you been with someone who never says I'm sorry unless forced to? She'll argue for hours, twist your words, defend her tone, her silence. But when it's time to take responsibility, she vanishes emotionally or physically. Suddenly, she's cold, waiting for you to fix everything, even if she broke it. You might think, that's just how she is. She's been through stuff. She doesn't like confrontation. Sure, we all have scars, but Marcus Aurelius would remind you, if someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken about what is right. Don't let someone's emotional immaturity blind you to the truth. A loyal woman cares more about the relationship than her pride. She owns her mistakes, apologizes without you begging, meets you halfway. Love ain't about winning arguments, it's about protecting connection. When was the last time she genuinely took accountability without flipping the script, without excuses, without making you the villain? When did she last say, that one's on me, I'm sorry, after seeing your hurt? If you can't recall, Stoic wisdom would call this a signet just of disloyalty, but of emotional immaturity. You're not in a partnership, you're in a blame game, and that's a slow erosion of your self-respect. How many times have you tried to have a serious talk, only to be met with silence, deflection, or frustration? You approach her with honesty, maybe a bit of fear, because relationships are built on communication, right? But instead of a mature discussion, she changes the subject, walks out, or turns it into an argument that twists back on you. Now you're stuck feeling misunderstood, like you're always the one who needs to adjust, never getting to voice your truth. Every time you bring up something bothering you, she shuts down or makes it a battle of wills. You end up feeling like you're begging for connection, questioning if it's all in your head or if you're overreacting. Recall the early days when you'd sit up late, talking about everything: dreams, fears, quirks, pasts, futures. It felt easy, even when you disagreed, because you could hear each other. But now, every real conversation feels like facing a wall. When she avoids hard talks, she's not just dodging conflict, she's dodging connection, the emotional intimacy that builds a strong bond. Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If every obstacle in your relationship gets swept under the rug, nothing gets solved. Unresolved issues become the very thing that tears you apart. When was the last time you felt truly heard by her, not just listened to, but understood? If the silence is louder than the conversation, Stoic clarity would say you're being kept in the dark. Love ain't about avoiding the tough stuff, it's about facing it together. If she's not willing to engage, she might not be ready to build with you, only to coast on the easy parts. Ever felt like just one of many in her life, not the most important one? Her friends, family, or career come first, and you're left waiting for scraps of time, attention, energy. She cancels plans with you to hang with friends, but when you plan a special evening, she's too busy. You're excited for quality time, but she's off at a family gathering, with friends, or answering work calls yet again. At first, you tell yourself, life happens. We all get busy, but the pattern repeats, and you wonder, am I not important enough to be prioritized? Think back to the start ho's first months when you couldn't get enough of each other. She'd make time, surprise you, make you feel like the center of her world. But now, the effort's slowed, and instead of being at the top of her list, you're shoved to the bottom. How often have you gone the extra mile for her mid-sacrifices, put her needs above your own, rearranged your day just to make her happy? But when it comes to her, how often does she do the same? Loyalty ain't just about not cheating, it's about making each other feel seen, valued, prioritized. When someone truly cares, they make an effort to put you first, not all the time, but in moments that matter. If she's constantly putting others or other things above you, fitting you into the cracks of her schedule, there's something missing. Love shouldn't feel like an afterthought. When was the last time she made you feel like the most important person in her life? Not just with words, but with actions? If you're always on the back burner, Stoic wisdom would urge you to recognize that you don't want to be a side dish. In her life, you want to be a main course, a central part of her journey, her future, her heart. You're not here to be an afterthought, someone she turns to only when everything else falls through. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In the context of love, this means don't settle for a relationship that isn't right for your soul, and don't accept a version of loyalty that isn't true in its essence. Being prioritized isn't about demanding all of her time. It's about knowing that when it matters, you're at the forefront of her mind and heart. If she's unwilling to give you that place, it might be time to stop settling for scraps and start valuing yourself enough to seek a connection where you're truly cherished. Stoicism isn't about clinging to what's familiar out of fear of loss. It's about having the courage to let go of what no longer serves your growth and peace. This isn't just about hurt feelings, it's about self-respect. Every time you accept being deprioritized, you're teaching yourself that your worth is negotiable, that it's okay to be an option rather than a choice. But you're not built for that. You're built for a partnership where mutual effort and value flow freely. A loyal woman doesn't make you feel like you're competing for a spot in her life. She makes space for you naturally because you're integral to her world. So, take a hard look at where you stand. How long have you been waiting for her to finally give you the attention you deserve? How many times have you justified her absence with excuses like she's just busy, or she'll come around? Stoic clarity demands that you see the pattern for what it is, a lack of commitment. And once you see it, you have the power to decide whether to stay in a dynamic that diminishes you or to walk away with your dignity intact. Now, let's tackle the final sign, one that often lurks beneath the surface until it's too late. She's always keeping secrets or hiding things from you. Have you ever felt that gnawing sense that something's off, but when you ask, she brushes it off, dodges the question, or shuts you down completely? Picture this. You've had moments where her energy feels distant, distracted, guarded. You ask, "Hey, is everything okay?" And she snaps back with a quick, "Nothing, I'm fine." Even though her tone, her eyes, her whole vibe scream otherwise. You're left wondering if it's just your imagination or if there's something deeper. She's not telling you. Maybe it's the way she's on her phone more often, but when you come near, she flips the screen down or switches apps in a hurry. Maybe she's talking to people you've never heard of, doing things she can't quite explain. And when you ask, it's always nothing important. The pieces don't fit. And every time you try to connect the dots, she makes you feel guilty for even asking. Let's rewind to the early days of your relationship. Trust was effortless back then, wasn't it? You felt like you could tell her anything, and she seemed open to sharing little details about her day, her thoughts, her world. There was a transparency that made you feel safe, like you were building something real together. But now, that openness has been replaced by walls. You've caught her in small-ish, nothing huge, just little inconsistencies that leave you questioning her trustworthiness. It's not always the big secrets that hurt most. It's the constant little things she hides, the ones she thinks don't matter, the conversations she has behind your back, the unexplained time away, the subtle shifts in her behavior that she won't address. At first, you might write it off. Maybe she's just private. Maybe she's protecting you from something minor, or maybe you're overthinking. But when that uneasy feeling never goes away, when every moment of distance or secrecy adds another layer of doubt, you start to realize this isn't about protection, it's about a lack of trust. She's not trusting you enough to be fully open. And that's a crack in the foundation of any relationship. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bees." In other words, if something's wrong in the relationship, if trust is broken, it poisons the entire connection. Think about the first time you trusted someone fully with that feeling of letting down your guard, being open about your fears, your dreams, your deepest secrets. That's what loyalty feels like. That's what honesty feels like. It's a connection no secrets or lies can break. But when she's always hiding something, no matter how small it seems, that's not a relationship built on trust, that's a relationship built on walls. And those walls get higher, thicker, and harder to tear down the longer they're in place. Let me ask you, have you ever felt like you're just a part of her story, but not the full truth of it? When was the last time you felt completely trusted, not just trusted to love her, but trusted with her true self, without filters, without secrets, without lies? If that trust feels like a distant memory, it's time to confront the reality. You might be a partner in name, but you're being kept in the dark in spirit. Stoicism teaches us to seek truth over comfort, to face what is rather than what we wish. If she's hiding parts of her life, if her secrecy creates a constant undercurrent of doubt, that's not just a quirk, it's a sign of emotional disloyalty. A loyal woman doesn't build barriers, she builds bridges. She shares her world with you, not because she has to, but because she wants you to be a part of it. If you're always left wondering what's behind the curtain, Stoic wisdom would urge you to stop guessing and start seeing. Trust is the bedrock of any true connection, and without it, you're not building a future, you're just passing time in uncertainty. You deserve transparency, not shadows. You deserve a love that doesn't make you question your place in it. Why do we stay when we see the truth? So, we've walked through these 11 hidden signs of disloyalty. One, a subtle but powerful indicator that the loyalty you crave might not be there. From withholding vulnerability to keeping secrets, from empty words to prioritizing others. These aren't just random behaviors. They're patterns that erode the foundation of trust and connection. But here's the million-dollar question. Why do we stay even when we see the truth staring us in the face? Why do we hold on when our gut, our reason, and even Stoic clarity tell us something's wrong? The answer lies in a fear as old as humanity itself, the fear of loss. We confuse love with possession, loyalty with longevity, and we cling to the familiar because the unknown feels like a void we can't face. We'd rather endure a half-hearted connection than risk the pain of walking away into solitude. But let's flip that fear on its head with a Stoic truth. It's better to walk alone in truth than to stay together in a lie. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Every morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." That privilege isn't meant to be squandered on relationships that diminish your spirit. When a woman is no longer loyal, she doesn't have to announce it with a grand betrayal. Her actions speak, her energy shifts, her silence screams, and your soul feels it all. That's why Marcus reminded himself daily to stay grounded, to focus on what matters. And what matters is this: you are not a victim, you are not powerless, you are not blind. You are a person capable of seeing clearly, acting justly, and letting go gracefully. You don't need to wait for undeniable proof of disloyalty. Signs are enough. Your job isn't to change her, it's to change your response to her. The Stoic response: what to do next. So what do you do if you've recognized these signs in your relationship? How do you move forward with the clarity you've gained? Stoicism offers a practical, grounded path to navigate this emotional terrain without losing yourself to anger, despair, or desperation. Let's break it down into actionable steps, rooted in the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and other Stoic thinkers, to help you reclaim your peace and power. Don't react emotionally or respond with stillness. When you see these signs, your first instinct might be to confront, to argue, to demand answers. But Stoicism teaches us to pause. Marcus Aurelius advised, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Take a breath. Don't let anger or hurt drive your actions. Stillness is your shield. It gives you space to think, to process, to avoid saying or doing something you'll regret. Sit with what you've observed. Let the emotions wash over you without letting them steer the ship. This isn't weakness, it's mastery over yourself, the first step to reclaiming control. Observe more, speak less. Before you act, watch. Let her actions reveal the full picture. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will, then your life will flow well." Stop hoping for change and start observing reality. Does she continue to prioritize others? Does she keep hiding things? Does her emotional availability remain conditional? Gather the evidence through her patterns, not her promises. Speak less about your suspicions, for now let her behavior speak louder than your words. This observation isn't about spying or paranoia. It's about clarity, about seeing her as she is, not as you wish her to be. Seek solitude. Clarity lives there. Step away from the noise of the relationship and find solitude. Marcus Aurelius often retreated to his own thoughts, writing, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Take time alone to reflect. Journal your thoughts, your observations, your feelings. Ask yourself, am I being valued here? Am I giving more than I'm receiving? Is this relationship aligning with my principles of self-respect and truth? Solitude isn't escape. It's where you rebuild your perspective, where you reconnect with your inner citadel, that unshakable core of strength. In that quiet, you'll find the answers you've been avoiding. Do not chase. Let her go if loyalty has left. If the signs confirm that her loyalty is gone, don't cling. Don't beg for her to stay, to change, to see your worth. Stoicism teaches detachment from what you cannot control, and you cannot control her heart. Seneca, a Stoic thinker, wrote, "Two elements must therefore be rooted out once for all: fear of future suffering, and the recollection of past suffering. Let go of the fear of being alone, and the pain of past memories that keep you tethered. If her loyalty has already left, let her go with it." This isn't about giving up. It's about freeing yourself from a bond that no longer serves your growth. You can't force loyalty. You can only recognize when it's absent, and choose your next step with dignity. Focus on yourself. Build virtue, discipline, and self-respect. Finally, turn your energy inward. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters, so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control." You can't control her actions, her loyalty, or her heart, but you can control your own path. Build your virtue. Act with integrity, even if she doesn't. Cultivate discipline. Focus on your goals, your health, your mind. Strengthen your self-respect now that you deserve a love that matches your effort, a loyalty that mirrors your own. This isn't about revenge or proving a point. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, so that whether you're with someone or alone, you stand tall in your own worth. The deeper layers of loyalty through a Stoic lens. Now that we've walked through these signs and the Stoic response, let's dig deeper into what loyalty truly means through the lens of Stoic philosophy. Loyalty isn't just fidelity in the physical sense, though that's part of it. It's a commitment that spans emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions. It's about being present, not just in body, but in heart and mind. It's about aligning actions with words, about building trust through transparency, about prioritizing the relationship as a sacred bond rather than a convenience. Marcus Aurelius might argue that loyalty is a reflection of virtue, a choice to act justly, courageously, and wisely in how we treat those we claim to love. When loyalty falters, it's not just a personal failing. It's a breach of the moral order that Stoics hold dear. Consider emotional loyalty first. This is the foundation of any true connection. It's the willingness to be vulnerable, to share your inner world, to hold space for your partner's struggles without judgment or withdrawal. When a woman withholds vulnerability, as we discussed in Sign 1, she's not just protecting herself, she's denying the relationship the depth it needs to thrive. Stoicism would view this as a failure of courage, a refusal to face the discomfort of intimacy. Emotional loyalty requires the bravery to be seen, flaws and all, and to see your partner in return. Without it, you're not partners, you're acquaintances playing at love. Mental loyalty is another layer often overlooked. This is about being present in thought, about keeping your mind committed to the relationship rather than wandering to other possibilities or distractions. When she keeps you a secret, Sign 4, or prioritizes others over you, Sign 10, it's a sign that her mental focus isn't on building with you. Her thoughts are elsewhere, in maintaining appearances, on other connections, on a life that doesn't include you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If her thoughts aren't colored by commitment to you, if they're scattered or hidden, that's a mental disloyalty that erodes trust just as surely as a physical betrayal would. Stoicism calls us to guard our minds vigorously, to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts and choices. A loyal mind chooses the relationship, day after day, in both presence and intention. Spiritual loyalty, perhaps the deepest layer, is about aligning your values and purpose with your partner. It's about seeing the relationship as a shared journey toward growth, not just a temporary comfort. When she talks about future plans without you, Sign 6, or avoids difficult conversations, Sign 9, it's a sign that her spirit isn't aligned with yours. She's not invested in a shared path, she's walking her own, leaving you to follow or fall behind. Stoicism teaches that life is about living in accordance with nature and reason, about pursuing virtue together. A spiritually loyal partner wants to grow with you, to face life's challenges as a team, to build a legacy of shared meaning. If that's missing, the relationship lacks the soul it needs to endure. These layers, emotional, mental, spiritual, interweave to create the full tapestry of loyalty. Physical loyalty, often the most discussed, is just the visible thread. But without the deeper commitments, it's hollow. A woman can be physically faithful yet emotionally distant, mentally detached, spiritually unaligned. And that's where these 11 signs come in. They reveal the hidden fractures in those deeper layers, the ones that often hurt more than a blatant betrayal because they're so subtle, so insidious. Stoic wisdom, with its emphasis on truth and self-mastery, equips us to see these fractures not as personal failings, but as realities to be faced. Marcus Aurelius would likely say, "Don't seek to change her heart, seek to understand it, and then decide if it aligns with yours." That's the power of Stoic clarity. It doesn't just expose disloyalty. It empowers you to respond with dignity, to choose your path with reason rather than reaction. The Stoic path to healing and moving forward. Recognizing disloyalty, whether through these signs or your own intuition, is only the first step. The real work lies in healing and moving forward, and Stoicism offers a roadmap for that journey. Let's explore how to apply Stoic principles to rebuild your inner strength, to heal from the wounds of a disloyal relationship, and to prepare yourself for a future where loyalty, both given and received, is non-negotiable. First, embrace the concept of apatheia, a Stoic state of mind where you're peaceful and balanced, not controlled by turbulent emotions. This isn't about becoming numb or apathetic, as some might misunderstand. It's about not allowing emotions like anger, regret, or despair to dictate your behavior. Epictetus taught, "The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control." You can't control her disloyalty, her choices, or her heart, but you can control how you process the pain. Practice apatheia by observing your emotions without judgment. When anger rises, note it, name it, but don't act on it. When sadness hits, feel it, but don't let it define you. This emotional discipline is the first step to healing. It keeps you grounded when your world feels shaken. Next, practice premeditatio malorum, the Stoic exercise of premeditating potential misfortunes. This isn't about dwelling on negativity. It's about preparing your mind for life's inevitable challenges. Seneca advised, "Two elements must therefore be rooted out once for all fear of future suffering, and the recollection of past suffering." Imagine the possibility of walking away from this relationship, of being alone, of starting over. Visualize the pain, but also visualize your resilience. See yourself rebuilding, finding peace, connecting with someone who values you fully. By mentally rehearsing these scenarios, you strip fear of its power. You realize that even the worst outcome, losing her, facing solitude, is survivable. This mental preparation builds toughness, ensuring that whatever happens, you're ready to face it with composure rather than collapse. Then, focus on amor fati, the love of fate. This Stoic principle, championed by Nietzsche but rooted in Stoic thought, urges you to embrace everything that happens, good or bad, as necessary for your growth. Marcus Aurelius might have agreed with this, as he often wrote about accepting life as it is. If disloyalty has wounded you, don't resent it. Will come it as a teacher. It's taught you about your worth, about the importance of boundaries, about the kind of love you won't settle for again. It's shaped you into someone stronger, wiser, more discerning. Loving your fate doesn't mean you approve of her actions. It means you see them as part of your journey, as fuel for your transformation. Every morning, remind yourself, whatever happens today, I will welcome it as necessary for my growth. This mindset shifts pain into purpose, turning a broken relationship into a stepping stone for a better you. Finally, commit to building your own virtue as the ultimate healing. Stoicism isn't just about enduring pain, it's about becoming better through it. Focus on the virtues Marcus Aurelius held dear: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Cultivate wisdom by learning from this experience. What signs did you miss? And how will you spot them sooner next time? Build courage by facing the truth, even when it hurts, and by walking away if necessary. Practice justice by treating her with fairness, not bitterness, even if you part ways. Exercise temperance by restraining the urge to lash out or cling, choosing instead to act with dignity. As you rebuild yourself through these virtues, you'll find that the pain of disloyalty fades, replaced by a quiet strength that no one can take away. You'll become a man who doesn't just seek loyalty in others, but embodies it in himself, a man who attracts the kind of love he deserves, because he lives with integrity. The broader implications of loyalty in a Stoic life. Let's zoom out for a moment and consider loyalty not just in romantic relationships, but as a broader principle in a Stoic life. Loyalty, at its core, is a commitment to virtue, a promise to act with integrity toward those we value, whether they're partners, friends, family, or even ourselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever someone has done wrong by you, immediately consider what notion of good or evil they had in doing it. For when you see that, you'll feel compassion instead of astonishment or rage." This perspective applies to disloyalty as well. Instead of reacting with anger or bitterness, a Stoic seeks to understand why someone might have acted disloyally. Perhaps they're driven by fear, insecurity, or a mistaken belief about what's right. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it shifts your response from vengeance to compassion, from resentment to release. Loyalty to oneself is perhaps the most critical form of commitment in Stoicism. Before you can demand loyalty from others, you must be loyal to your own principles, to your own growth, to your own peace. This means not betraying yourself by staying in relationships that diminish you, by ignoring red flags for the sake of comfort, by sacrificing your self-respect for the illusion of love. Epictetus taught, if a person gave away your body to some passerby, you'd be furious, yet you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along, so they may abuse you, leaving it disturbed and troubled. Have you no shame in that? Guard your mind, your heart, your spirit with the same ferocity you'd guard your physical self. Be loyal to your own worth, and you'll naturally attract those who mirror that loyalty back to you. In a broader social context, loyalty ties into the Stoic concept of living in accordance with nature and reason, of contributing to the common good. Loyalty to friends, to community, to humanity itself, is an extension of Justation of the four cardinal virtues of Stoicism. When we practice loyalty in these spheres, we build trust, stability, and connection, creating a ripple effect that strengthens the world around us. but it starts with personal integrity. If you can't be loyal to yourself, if you can't face the truth of your relationships with clarity, how can you extend that virtue outward? Stoicism calls us to start within, to build our inner citadel of strength and wisdom, so that our loyalty, whether to a partner or to the world, is rooted in truth, not illusion. If this message resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that will help you create the life you truly deserve.